step to create your object or product that's going to come, the final project that's you're going to make. And to give you clarity about what is concept design and the basics of the module concept design in 3D digital game design, we have Nidhin Prem. Let me introduce him officially as I'll introduce Nidhin as a guy from Kochi. He represented India at WorldSkills Kazan in 2019 for 3D game art and won a Medallion of Excellence for it, as I've mentioned. He has also won silver medal at the Global Skills Challenge, Melbourne, and best of the nation at the same event. He has also been awarded the Skill Ambassador Award by Kerala State Government. He's working with Lakshya Digital and as a freelancer and is into teaching nowadays. So, Nidhin, all over to you. You have the rights to share your screen. And life after WorldSkills has been good. Okay, yeah. And if you can tell us a little about your journey from 2019 to today, and then take us the concept art, please.
All right. Sure. Thank you, Pooja. So honestly, WorldSkills, turned my life around, for good. Because, I was some guy who was just, making pictures and digital art. And suddenly I got an opportunity to participate in WorldSkills, and, the graph has only gone up ever since then. I got really good training. I got, medals and all those stuff, and I got international exposure. So it was really good. So, it's really great that all of you guys chose to participate in this particular event, because it's this, even if you win or not, you will be taking home a lot of, knowledge and skill, better skill and all that. So yeah. So let's get started. I will share my screen now. So here you go. I hope you can see the screen.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to start. So IndiaSkills webinar, 3D game art, so concept art. So the first and foremost thing about concept art is that before you even start out, you need to make sure that all of your layers and folders are named appropriately. So as you can see, we have marks for, PSD tidiness, names and layers, and sensible folder structure. So these things are very important. You need to keep in mind that, you have to do this before you go on making your art. So yeah. So organization and, everything should be really organized. Everything like that should be met from your side. If you, in order to make marks. So as you can see, the PSD tidiness here is a measurement mark, and it carries 1 mark. So these little things, they are easy to be ignored, but it's better to keep it in mind. I'm sorry, Pooja, did you say something?
No, sorry, my mistake.
All right, no problem. So, guys, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat, and maybe I could get back to you soon. So anyway, back to the topic. So once my structure is all, organized, we go to the dimensions part. So as you can see, the design brief or the question paper will have specific instructions over what resolutions that we need to choose. So, it most probably it's going to be 4K resolution, which is 3840 into 2160 pixels. So keep that in mind. And the next one is that art style set in the brief should be met for the created asset. So whatever prompt that we get, we need to make sure that we follow the art style So as you can see, I'm opening up a question paper here. And in that, we have to make a diving helmet, an old diving helmet and a shark. So these guys, they put in a lot of images for references so that we can look at it and make our art similar to the pictures in the reference. So it's always clever to just pay close attention to how they plot out every little detail, like including sorry, excuse me. So including their eyes, their facial features, their mouth, their attributes like hands and tails and fins. As you can see, they are all uniquely made, and they almost look similar to one another, even though they are totally different characters. So it's important that we make sure that we pay attention to all these little details before we start making our art. So yeah. So getting back to our slide. So after we make sure that, we understand the art style, we need to move on to creating a custom brush. And in this module, I'll show you how to make a custom brush actually, eventually. And okay, so the next part is creating thumbnails. Thumbnails as in tiny initial drawings that we make, which aren't, as polished as the output or the final picture is going to be. So they're going to be just random sketches that we make of an idea or, few ideas. So the main points that we need to cover here are that it must explore 2 to 3 thumbnail ideas on your artwork. So you need to have at least 2, 3 pictures or at least thumbnails on the side of the concept that you make. So if you need to, if you think you won't be able to remember these points once our call is over, I would advise you to maybe take a screenshot of all the slides that is being shown here. So yeah. So yes, it must explore 2 to 3 thumbnails. I'll show you that later. And yes, it must conform to the art style given in the brief. Like I said before, like you need to pay close attention to all the little elements that you see in the references and then make an art out of that, not completely copying it, but using different attributes from different references and then combining it to form one final sketch. And the other one is one of the most important steps of the whole pipeline, because thumbnail creation, it determines what your character will be or your asset will be. You're going to be making that one particular asset for the rest of the course of the competition. So this one step particularly is super important, and make sure that you do this very seriously, and that it has it meets all the criterias that is there in the competition. And after thumbnails comes proportions and perspectives. So I hope that you guys are aware about the 2-point and 3-point perspective scales. It's just a tool that helps you make things look more 3D. So using a bit of 2-point or 3-point perspective into your art is definitely gonna make it look more 3D than just a flat 2D design. So yeah, there's perspective, which is very important, and add scale to show the size of the character. As you can see, I put up a little scale on the side that you can see the Darth Vader silhouette, which is like 6.4 feet, and then there's like R2D2 on the side of it, which is 4 feet or something. These aren't accurate heights, but yeah, I hope you get the idea of it. And the other one is that good proportion and proper use of perspectives automatically makes your sketch look 3D. because we're using 3D tools in our 2D design to make it look more 3D. So it obviously will make it look more 3D. So pay close attention. If your proportions and perspective part is weak, I suggest you to, practice more, practice sketching more, art using these things, like draw pictures with 2-point, 3-point perspectives as much as you want until you feel like you have, improved in it. So moving on. Okay, the other one is silhouettes. Silhouette is just a flat black image, which is, which does not have any color information, but it's just a black outline that shows us what exactly this picture is about. So as you walk on the road and you have like a light coming from behind you, you see the shadow in front of you, that is actually silhouette. So silhouette defines the character of the art that you go for. So as I mentioned, adds character to the sketch. So as you can see, there are like different silhouettes in the slide right now, and you can determine what kind of character that is, or these things are. So, silhouette plays a big role in setting the character of the particular image or the picture or the character itself. Also, it defines proportion. So if you're in the process of making silhouettes, if you feel like something's off, like even if the hands are too big or the legs are too off placed, you can like zoom out and squint your eyes and see that, okay, this is the problem. You can, head into it, just correct it, and it's gonna make your picture look much better than how it was before. So silhouette is a very important step that you need to make sure that you do with proper attention. So it also helps you in creating anatomy. So, you're drawing something and you feel like, oh, the anatomy is a bit off. So all you have to do is zoom out a bit, maybe create a silhouette for the drawing that you made, zoom out a bit, and then you're gonna see that, okay, something's off about this particular sketch, and then you might want to correct it. So silhouettes are very good in determining the overall proportion and forms of the assets that you make. So I hope you guys are following. There is a chat box that you can type in, and if you have any questions, you can just let me know. I will get to you. Okay, the next one is colors. So you guys must be aware about color theories of, complementary colors, triadic colors. There are plenty of combinations that we could use to create art that looks much better. So here you can see a scale, and this one line is connecting the complementary colors. So yeah, so basically colors, you gotta play around with the color theory a bit, see what combinations of color would work with your sketch. And make sure you define colors in a way make sure to define colors in a way we get to create 4 or 5 materials within the sketch. So there are marks, in the texturing part, that if you make around 4 to 5 materials, you're gonna get good marks. Like it's gonna carry 1 mark or something. So you need to make sure that the art or the character has minimum of 4 to 5 materials on it. So it's like, you could make skin, you could make the nails of the character, that would be a different material. Wood, if you give the character an armor, it's gonna be metal, so that's another material. Then you have clothes, you add clothes to it, that's another material. So make sure that it's got enough materials and different colors to make it look more attractive. And the next one is shading and blending. So add appropriate lighting on the sketch to make it appear 3D. So you can create a very flat painting and then add lighting like highlights, bounce light, and shadows to make it look more 3D. So this is a basic idea about, you know, blending and shading. You just need to give it highlights, shadows, and bounce lights. I will be demonstrating it later on. So yeah. And after that, add blending and smoothing between colors to describe form. I was supposed to write form, but accidentally, I think I deleted the M. So there you go. So it's blending and smoothing between colors to describe the form of the picture. Like if it's a sphere, you could see how the highlights and shadows are painted in a way to make it look 3D and like a sphere. So yeah. Next one, use a custom brush. I will demonstrate how to make a custom brush, after this slide is over. Okay, once we add in the base color and we add shadings and stuff, we could say that our art is almost done. It's not quite done yet though. So what you need to do is like maybe give it a few effects like vignette, bloom, secondary lighting, particles, fogs, to make it look a little bit more attractive. So yeah, this is another important step to make it look much better. And yeah, let's make a concept. So this is something I already made. I'll show you all the steps I did to, that I did to till this part that you can see. So before that, I'm just gonna open up a few references. So here's, a couple of pictures that I downloaded. I was intending to make an alien character that is stylized. So yeah, these are the few references that I got. Now I'll be using these references to create my concept. So there you go. As you can see, I already made 3 different thumbnails. So this is 1, this is 2. It's not really perfect. It's just a picture and this is fine. You just need to make sure that you add, you just add them in your concept art. So you just need 3 different sketches or ideas posted here. So what I did was I decided I would go with this alien thing over here. So like I thought I would go with this one. So I took the outline sketch and what I did was I painted in the silhouette. So silhouette defines the character, like I said before. So in this part, I can make sure that, nothing looks off and everything looks perfectly the way I want. What I did here was I created a solid color layer and then I, put in a very dark color and I painted on the masks. So I inversed the mask and then I started painting for it, like painting the different parts of the asset. That's how I created it. And then after that, I added base color as a clipping mask to the silhouette. So everything that goes in before the outline and after base color, including the shading and all that stuff, it's going to stay as a clipping mask under the silhouette. So what I'm gonna do next is that I'm gonna make, a custom brush. So I'm gonna use 500 into 500 dimensions, and there you go. So what I'm gonna be making is a blending brush. So I don't really mind the kind of shape that it's gonna have. I just, wanted to give a little paintedly feel to my blending here. So I'll be randomly plotting out designs, as you can see. Uh, so make a random looking brush. And then what you need to do next is, scale it up a bit so that it fits to the bounds. Now, next thing you need to do is that just go to define brush preset under edits, just click that, then it's gonna, bring up this dialog box. Just type in whatever color that the name that you want to give. I'm gonna name it blend brush. There you go. So now we have our brush made. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna blend some color details to it. So as you can see, the base colors that I've chosen, here, they're not too saturated. They're like very, desaturated colors, like it's in the middle of the color scale. As you can see, it's not too bright, it's not too dark, it's in the middle, not too saturated. So each and every color is just, not that saturated or clear, so that we can add in, the lighting details and make it look more nice. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna add some shadows to it. So I'm gonna pick this color, drag it down a bit, and I'm gonna figure out where the light is going to fall. So maybe the light could be here. So, yeah. More shadows. What I'm gonna do next is also apply shadows for different colors. As you can see here on the side of the layer, you can see most of the layers here are named appropriately. So like I've mentioned before, it is very important that you name your layers appropriately. There is always going to be this one background layer that you need to get rid of because it is a default Photoshop layer. So what you need to do is just click delete and add maybe a different, color as background. So what you need to do is just rename that to background again. And yeah, keep it as it is. Do not lock it. So what I'm gonna do next is blend these shadows in. So I'm gonna take a smudge brush and then I'm gonna choose our little brush that we just made. There you go. So what I'm gonna do next is that I'm going to go to the brush settings. I'm gonna click on shape dynamics and scatter. I'm gonna scatter it a bit so that, it gives a really nice blending effect. Like, as you can see, there you go. Wait. Excuse me. Something's wrong. All right. There you go. So it gives a nice blending effect to it if you add scatter. So here's the shadows. So I'm blending it real nice so that, nothing pops out. Gonna make another layer, and I'm gonna add in some highlights. Gonna blend this in. Make sure you add it as a clipping mask. As you can see, your painting starts to look a little more 3D once you add the highlights and shadow. Yeah. So you need to follow the same steps for all those materials that you skin. So I'm gonna try painting this metal part. So metal part is going to have a very high gloss value, so you need to make sure that you follow all that theory about lights. It's always nice if you observe different objects that lie around your house or anywhere and see how light falls onto it. It's gonna help you, it's gonna help you whenever you try to make art or try to make similar materials. So that's what I used to do whenever I needed to make art. I go and look for references of these elements that I need to paint. Okay, so a little more. There you go. Now that's how you paint metal. That looks metal enough. Now let's move on to the other parts. Oh, oops. Make sure that you keep your layers tidy and clean and named. It's always okay to make as much as layers that you want, but just make sure that you name them appropriately after. So, I'll mix it. It's always clever to not use 100% black and 100% white. It just makes your work look more cleaner. and and realistic. So there you go. I painted in the metal. What I'm gonna do next is that I'm gonna paint these parts. So sorry about my dog. It's always clever to add shadows and highlights in two different layers so that you can keep everything organized and clean instead of, making a mess. I'm gonna blend this in. Yep, that's good. What I'm gonna do next is add in more details to this guy. I'm gonna scale off outline. I'm just gonna define each parts for us. So for that, I'm gonna choose a hard round brush. Yeah, that would do. Can create some more shading. Playing with colors here to make it look more 3D like. So yeah. I will be blending these colors in once I, make enough detail on it. So it's always better, or these brushes are so handy, like the one like paintbrush with this drop on the side, which is called mixer brush. It helps you blend in the details so easily. Make sure you click sample all layers before you start painting with the mixer brush. Just like that, you need to blend in, the rest of the body, just like how you did for the face. So it's always better to keep consistency in your design. So let's not make one particular part look really nice and then, you know, do the other parts with half heart. It's really not nice. So make sure that you paint the whole thing consistently. Gonna use mixer brush to blend this in. I'm going back and forth on the outline and the paint layers to, clear out the blemishes or the sketches that I don't want here, so that I can fill things up properly. There you go. So once I'm happy with, the shading layers, what I do is that I just merge them down so that, you know, it's more clean to work that way. Yep. So after that, I'm just gonna detail it, just give it more details to the eye. let's paint the iris. So according to this green, the complementary color is crimson or a reddish orange. So I'm gonna give him that color for his eye. No. Like I said, it's better to use colors that are not completely black. So I chose a charcoal color for his eyes. So yep, now let's add some details. So now we have an eye. Adding more layers of detail. Gonna give an outline for the eye.
Hi, Nidhin. So, if I
Yes,
can take questions also, there
yes,
is somebody is asking how to color metal. I mean, the reflected layer that will create a visualization of rendered 3D look. If
right,
by doing
okay,
this, you can side by side give me the response.
great, yes, sure. So I painted metal here, selecting the color white, not white actually, somewhere related next to white and then black. So what I did was I'm gonna paint something on the side. So if it's a metal, say it's a metal cylinder, and you need to paint metal on it. So what you do is that give it a base color, like give it a base color like this. Okay, that's way too bright for metal. And you need to fix uh, a specular value for it. So it could not specular, the roughness value. So it must, if it's like too shiny, it's gonna reflect light perfectly without uh you know spreading across the whole object. So if it's like super shiny, the highlights are gonna be like as clear like this. And then the shadow details as well. It's going to be like very clear. It's not gonna be shaded. It's just going to look like this, just going to reflect whatever light is there in the surrounding. So it will be like this. If it's like very glossy metal. So if it's like a rough sort of metal, this is going to spread. Like the highlight will be, like this, instead of being too bright. So I hope you get it. This comes with practice. Like as much as you try to paint metals, the better you're going to be. So yeah, like to nail this thing, you need to practice and, you know, keep observing nature for fun things that maybe you could use to draw later on in your free time, you know, in your, if you're, yeah, if you just want to paint, it's always nice to update your mental library. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to painting. So yeah, here's our eyes. Just gonna give it some glossy effect.
Nidhin, I have a question. Somebody is asking, are you using a mouse?
No, I'm not using a mouse. I'm using Wacom 1. So it's a pen tablet. I'll show you. It's like this. So you could get very small pen tablets to practice, and you know it's gonna pay off really well. Like you're gonna get better at drawing and making 3D stuff really better, like really fast if you get one of these. So I suggest you guys to, you know, buy a pen tablet soon. So there you go.
Okay, so the character is ready, and this is how you create a concept.
Yeah, it's almost ready, and you can always add more details.
Wonderful. I'm loving your character, and I'm sure everybody else is feeling the same. The bright eyes, and it looks like a 3D
Right.
model. So when we talk about the concept art, that's the first step to create your design, work on your project, right?
Yes.
Module. Okay, and then there are other modules as well in 3D digital game art, like 3D animation,
Yes.
modeling, rigging. They're also a part of it, and we are going to cover these topics in our upcoming workshops. Tomorrow we are going for this. There is a international webinar going on for Korean by the WorldSkills Korea, and you all can attend the workshop. You can be there. It will be posted on our social media handles. So I'll request if you all can please check out our social media channels to get the Zoom link and the ID and the password to attend the Korean webinar. So we'll be back and before we close, I'll take one more question for Nidhin.
Sure.
Nidhin, it's really been great watching you create a design. But there is another question. Can we use a mouse instead of a pad and get the same kind of character designed?
No, actually, if you try to draw things with mouse, it's going to take a lot of time. So I made this in like around 20 to 30 minutes, right? So it would take much more time for you to make things. Well, yes, if you're patient enough, you might be able to get the same results with the mouse, but it's never going to be fast.
Okay.
So I would advise, yes.
Yeah, but when we talk about the competition, there are timelines given and you have to work in the stipulated time. So it's better, the faster, the better.
Yes.
With this, thank you so much, Nidhin, for your time today and for giving us the idea of concept art module in 3D digital game design. I'm sure all the students watching you, the aspirants and the candidates who have registered in this World's IndiaSkills competition will be getting up preparing from your, the knowledge that you have shared. We'll be coming back with the other modules as well at 12 o'clock on Friday and Saturday, that is 25th and 26th, as tomorrow is going to be the international webinar. So we'll see you for the 3D people. We'll see you again 12 o'clock tomorrow and for another 3 days. there is another workshop being lined up for especially for 3D digital game art candidates on Sunday by Lakshya Digital. So be prepared for that as well. We'll keep you updated. We are going to share the information with you all. And yes, let me take your leave and let's join the other skill, industrial design technology, sharp at 1 o'clock. Thank you so much, Nidhin. Thank
All
you,
right.
everybody.
Thank you guys for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.